Good afternoon, everybody. I am just starting up the Zoom meeting here a few minutes before so that we can get prepared. And while everybody's coming in, I will mute myself for a bit. All right, in order for me to actually share my screen, everybody, it looks like I may have to restart Zoom here for a second. So I may not, and I may. Let's see if this is gonna work. Share. All right, I just shared my screen here with everyone. Let's do a quick tech check here. Let's see, we have about 12 guests in the room. I want to make sure that we are, you guys are able to see my screen and that you can hear me. There is a little chat feature here. So would you be able to just let me know that you can hear inside the chat? Just say, yes, I do. Awesome. David, thank you so much. Charles, really appreciate that. Cindy, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you all so much. And as people are coming in here, I would love to get a feel for the room to understand a little bit about everybody. Will the recording be available after? Yes, Amit, we will record the session. I believe it is already being recorded. And we are going to email everybody this recording as well so that all of you can view it later on as well. So to give everybody a little bit of an idea of what we're going to be discussing today, we have Matt who's going to be joining us. Matt has been working some lease leads, and we are looking to put together a specific program just for lease leads because there's certainly a lot of money to be made. It looks like there's not a lot of people who are actually catering. Obviously, we understand that you make a lot less money than you would on a buyer lead. But it's also it's a definite opportunity for those that might not be as busy right now and are looking to make some extra money on the side. So we'll share everything that we know, everything that Matt has been doing to get this and help you guys understand all of this as best possible. I want to do a quick poll here. Actually, I'm going to ask everybody a quick question. I'm curious in terms of how many people are currently working actively or lease leads. So let me actually see if I can add a question here. So I'm in New York City market, so I need lease leads. Awesome, Malik. We can definitely help out and get you some lease leads in New York. And let's actually do a quick check where everybody's from. In the chat, if you could tell us what market you're in and where you're from. So we got Toronto in the house from Patricia in Toronto. Lozano is in Toronto as well. Amit in Toronto, Kitchener, Mississauga from Tarek, awesome. Barbara from Toronto as well. David Lamb from Richmond Hill. Awesome to have all of you here. I know we have that New York. Emric is from Brampton. All right. And Michelle is from Vancouver. Awesome. I think we had somebody else join in. I've been signed out of my account.
Oh, that would have been me, Otto.
Oh, okay.
It's Crystal. So, did it kick you out?
Yeah, it signed me out of my account. Looks like you've been signed out because the account is signed in from another device. So I'm not sure if we can both be in the same account at the same time.
Well, I think so. Well, you're on here and it's recording.
Okay.
And I got on here, so it shows a co-host and a host. So you, yeah.
All right. I'm not sure. Let me actually see if it, are you able to still see my screen, or
Yeah,
you do not,
yeah.
you don't
No, I
see
can see
my
your
screen
screen.
webinar
Yeah,
information? Okay.
yeah,
Interesting.
absolutely.
Yeah, I guess it's kept me in. It hasn't fully signed me out, so it looks like we can both be on here. And so we can certainly try to work it this way. So no worries. I was just going through the list of participants. We had some people who asked where they're from, so we had people responding: Mississauga, Toronto, Richmond Hill. Armix from Brampton. Michelle is from Vancouver. It is a true pleasure to have all of you here. And I was just kind of going in to talk about that we're going to have Matt discussing, what it is that we're doing with lease leads and how they work in a general sense. So I wanted to add a poll question here. I'm not sure if the poll is going to show up right away. Let me actually see. Are you currently actively getting actively? I certainly cannot spell. Working lease leads. I'm not sure. Do you know if when I pose a question, will it automatically ask the question inside of the poll? Do you know?
I think it will.
All right. So we have answer yes or no. Save. Let's see if that actually posts a question to everybody. Oh, it does. Okay, so it does come up on my poll as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if it came up on every. Okay, launch poll. Allow participants to launch poll. All right, so I just posted a poll here. Let's see if everybody's actually seeing it as well. So it looks like we have people seeing it. So we have yes, no, 57. So more no's than we have yeses. Awesome. I think we had Matt join us as well. Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Can you hear us okay? Matt, can you hear us okay? And we'll let Matt kind of connect here for a quick second. So we currently have about 37 participants in the webinar, and we asked the question: are currently working lease leads? And about 36% said yes, and 64% said no. So we're definitely be able to share as much information as possible here about lease leads in general, and also try to figure out how can we help more, because I know one of the problems with lease leads is that there are so many that come through, and we want to be able to sift through these leads that come in to kind of find the ones that are good. And I have some really good ideas for Matt. I'd love to hear what his thoughts are on that. Matt, can you hear us okay now? No? I'm not sure if you hear us. There is a chat feature there as well. If you, Crystal, would you be able to do me a favor and maybe call Matt directly and kind of help him out? Awesome. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
absolutely.
Wonderful. So while we have Matt setting up, I'll kind of go through really quick and explain the lease leads as best that I can to you guys, so you have a good understanding of where they're coming from, who these people are, what did they want. And let me actually share my, let me start video here as well so you guys can see me. Crystal, I'm not sure if you're still on. Can you see me okay? Can you guys see me okay in the video as well?
Yep, I can see you.
Awesome. I'm actually home today. I've do work from the office on and off, but I am at home today. So when it comes to lease leads, the best way that I can describe them is when people go on Google and look for renting an apartment, renting a con. Yeah, Matt, can you hear us okay now?
Yeah, I think I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yeah, we can hear you as well.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us, Matt. Really appreciate it. Pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was just doing a quick introduction to everybody. We have about 46 participants in, and just before you came in, we also did a little bit of a quick survey and asked everybody, are you currently actively working lease leads? And 30% no, and 70% 30% said yes, 77% no. So we have about 70% of people here that actually haven't been working any lease leads. So I wanted to give a little bit of a example of what these lease leads are, and then we can get into a little bit of a discussion. So awesome. So for those of you that are wondering kind of where are these lease leads coming from, we are sourcing them directly from Google. So when people go to Google and search for apartments for sale in your city, apartments for sale in Vancouver, or condos, or not for sale, apartment for rent in Vancouver, apartment for rent in Richmond Hill, in Mississauga, condos for rent, houses for rent, whatever it may be, we are posting your ad on that page. And then as people are browsing, let me actually pull up a website to show you an example of that. As people are browsing through those rentals, it's going to show them the rentals. So let me actually pull it up here. Give me a quick sec. So as people are searching for those rentals, it actually shows them what's currently available and then makes them register. So let me pop that open here. And imagine if I'm searching for Toronto condos for rent, what'll happen is people are gonna land on a page like this, and the type automatically will be selected condos. So this is what they're gonna be seeing. They're gonna be seeing all of the current available rentals. And then as they actually start to look at those listings, we force them to register on the website and to be able to continue browsing. So that's kind of the idea of where these leads are coming from. We're finding the cost per lead on rentals is really inexpensive. So for having a little spend, even when you're spending, let's say $100 a month on Google, you have the ability to get a decent number of leads. So about, 45 leads will come in for $100 a month spend on Google. I know one of the biggest issues, and Matt can attest to this, one of the biggest issues with rental leads is the fact that there's a lot of people that just don't have the ability to afford what it is they're looking. Is that correct, Matt? Can you tell us a little bit about the current process that you've had with lease leads, and what has that been like for you?
Oh, for sure. So the main issue is you have to pre-qualify the rental leads. Most of them doesn't have good credit score or doesn't have good job, which can be very difficult for you to help them find a rental place, which kills your time, and it will be ineffective and inefficiency. So that's one key thing is pre-qualify all the leasing leads before you show the house to them.
Right. And that's a very good point. And because this, when you start doing this kind of lead generation, you're getting flooded with leads. If you were to spend $200-300 a month on Google, you'd be flooded with leads coming in because they all want the rental. So it's our job to make sure, hey, I want to make sure that if I'm getting 100 leads, I only want to work with those people that actually qualify, so that I'm not wasting my time in any way, shape, or form. And so that's one of the things that I want to do, Matt, is work with you. And I know I sent you an email to try to figure out, we want to ask them a preset of questions. Like, for example, when they register, when they in fact give us their email address and up registering, what we want to do is on this screen, on the next step, we want to ask them a set of questions that they're going to have to fill out in order to continue browsing. So some of those questions are going to be like, how long have you had the job that you're currently in? Number two, what is your current salary for that job? And then other questions that you might feel are good to kind of, where the questions that you're asking them on the phone, we want to kind of ask them on the website, so that when you're pulling up your list of leads that you want to work, you can actually see those questions answered right inside the CRM. Does that kind of make sense?
I agree.
Yeah, so we truly want to try to make that as easy as possible, because we know that the amount of money that you make from these lease leads isn't a lot on a general basis. So the less time you waste on them, the better it is for you, because you can end up making more money, because you're going to be working directly with those that you should be working with. So when we had a chat last time, one of the things that you mentioned was, from the number of deals you've done. I know some of the questions that we've had from clients, out of how many leads was it that you closed the somewhere $14,000 in the last 4 months? Would you be able to share with us, like, how many leads in total did you have to go through to get to the $14,000, and how many deals was that $14,000 from?
In the beginning, it was very difficult. In the beginning, I only closed 3 lease deals in the first month. But after the first month, I start getting the idea how to pre-qualify the leads, how to make it more effective. So on the second month, I start close 6 deals. And the third month, I hit 8. This month, I hit 9.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
It adds up. And the average rental price in my area, it's about $2,700 to $3,000 per month.
Right.
So divided by 2, so you're making $1,500 plus HST per deals.
Per deal, right.
And the good thing about rental lease is you get money faster because they usually close within 10 days, 20 days. Once they close, you can get your money. Unlike buyer leads, it may take 2 months to 3 months before you receive a big check. So I look at rental leads like a full-time job, and I also do buyer leads to give me a bonus. So in that way, I can always stay in the game. As soon as I stay in the game,
I love that.
It's gonna, that's
I love that.
what I thought in the beginning.
That's a very, very good way to put it, Matt. And I love the fact that you're, because you have some free time and you're not really going out there with a lot of buyers right now, you're offsetting that time by not just offsetting time, you're offsetting your cost of the entire buyer program as well by actually doing some lease leads, which is, I mean, incredible. And I'm really glad you're doing that. We did have a question from an anonymous user. Which area are you in? Would you be able to share that, Matt?
Mostly in downtown Oakville and Burlington.
Awesome. So Burlington and downtown Oakville for that answer. And so that's awesome, Matt. So what you've done here is you've kind of learned on the fly. In the first month, you really were trying to talk to everybody and spend time on everybody, and you waste a lot of time with people that you shouldn't be wasting your time with. And then you kind of learn then the progress on what to ask the people so that you can get to the right people, that you're really working those right people. Does that kind of make sense? That's what you kind of did?
Yes.
Yeah, so we truly want to help you out as much as possible on that part, because we want to specify a very specific kind of qualification process for these lease leads. So what I'll do, Matt, if you don't mind, is I'll love to connect with you. We can do a Zoom meeting together where you and I will sit down, and then you can show me what questions you're asking. And then we will make sure that we get our developers to ask those questions inside of this form. So what it essentially does is it does not allow them to actually browse through these listings until they answer those questions. That way, you have a good pre-qualified lead that has the ability to work with you. And I mean, even if they say something where they're not qualified, then at least inside of your own database that you may not want to waste time with that person. Yeah. So we'll set that. Alicia, I know you're in the webinar as well. If you can, please just let's book a time with Matt so that him and I can jump on a Zoom meeting, just him and I together, and then we'll come up with those questions and put them into the system. There were a few questions here as well by some of the participants that I'd love to ask. Do you qualify them before meeting them? So Amit asked, do you qualify them before meeting them? Right now, that is something that Matt is doing, right? Matt, you're qualifying them before you even meet them.
100%. In the first month, I didn't qualify before I meet them, but it wastes you a lot of time because rental leads, it's so cheap. You can get 100 rental leads, 200 rental leads within the $200, $300. So there's lots of rental leads. There's no point to meet with every single one of them because most of them, they're either playing game or they're just wasting your time. Some people, they've been looking for a place for 3 months, 5 months. And it's not worth your time to do that because rental leads are short term. They have to close fast, they have to close quick, they have to be qualified. So don't be scared to ask them questions. After you go through that, it will be easier.
That's a very good point, Matt. I mean, when you really think about it, guys, I mean, obviously, even with a buyer, you'd want to know exactly what they're looking for. And then number one, are they qualified to be able to buy a property of that kind? And we want to ask those same questions to the rental leads. And what's nice with the rental leads, like Matt said, is there's so many of them that you can kind of pick and choose who you work with, and then only concentrate your time on those that actually make sense. And that's where Matt has been able to close 3, 6, 8, and then 9 deals, and gradually increasing the number of deals on an ongoing basis. So that's awesome. Now, Matt, what we truly want to do is we want to be able to try to make this sort of like an automated process where we would try to find these really good leads for you, so you're not even wasting your time, so that you can actually up your ad spend. So instead of spending $200 a month, you can spend $400 a month and end up closing 18 of these transactions if you can, so that we can automate as much as possible from this.
That would be
Awesome.
great.
Yeah, we'll work on getting to that point. The question that I had, there's actually one question here that can you use this for a specific listing I have? So Malik, when it comes to a specific rental listing, let's say you're trying to get leads from the actual listing itself, you could use it on Facebook, but it is not something that you can use on Google. So you could advertise this listing on Facebook to say rental, listing in wherever in New York. I know you're from New York. But not on Google. See, with Google, like Matt said, the cost per lead is really inexpensive. So we're on Google advertising when people search for houses for rent in Burlington, or houses for rent in Mississauga or Oakville or whatever area you're in. That's where the ads would actually show up on Google, and that's where we're getting those leads coming in from. There's another question from Sanjeev here. Is Matt requesting documents before he starts to show, like job letter, credit score, 2 recent pay stubs?
I would definitely try to ask them, but like you guys mentioned, not everybody wants to send you all the document before they meet with you.
Right.
So at least have an idea how much they are making, what's their occupation, and
Right.
what's their credit score look like. Like if they are working, some people they are working in personal support service, that give you, a negative sign. Some people they may work as truck driver, and also give you negative sign, because those people, the landlord will not like them as a tenants. But if they are working with IT engineer, those are ideal tenants. Everybody gonna like. So you can feel based on the question, the answer from you.
I like that. Now, Matt, another question that actually I was wondering myself, have you been able to convert any of these rentals into buyers at all?
Oh, of course. So the funny thing is I did a rental deal April, and she rented a house from me. And 3 months later, she and her brother bought 2 pre-construction deal from me.
Oh, wow.
Just 3 months later. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you have been able to convert some of these people that are coming in as renters. And obviously the more you get, the more you're going to be able to do with this. So that's awesome. That's really, really good to hear.
Because everybody wants to have their house. It's just a matter of either down payment or matter of, credit score they're working on, or whether they are new to Canada, they're waiting for their PR card. It's a lot of reasons, but those people who are qualified, who have a very good job, they may be your future buyers. Once they work with you, they like you. If they decide to buy, you will be the first agent they usually contact with.
Right. That's that's awesome. That's a very good point on that. David Lamb was asking how much is the cost per lead. So David, we're finding that the average cost per lead is about $1.92. So $1.92 is the average cost per lead from Google. Some areas are actually a little bit lower than others. So it really depends on how many people are doing it and what the cost per click is, but the average is about $1.92. So you can get a fairly good, decent number of leads from this. Now, Amir Farhudi asked, I'm actually going to read out the entire question. How does this work? Do I get random clients? Because you guys have a lot of clients. You send them random. If I set up for downtown area, let's say for 200 agents, there are 200 agents in the area in downtown as well. Do I get random leads? Okay, so I want to make sure that I fully explain this really well so that all of you understand how this works and how Google ads work in a general sense. So let's say Toronto condos for rent. You guys can see my screen, right, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So just so that everybody fully understands how the lead generation program works in general, no matter how many clients we have, every client is independent, meaning that the leads that come for Matt only go to Matt. They don't go to anybody else. They go to Matt because they're on Matt's website. That's actually where they register. So if you think of it this way, when, you know, this is one keyword, we use thousands of different keywords, and somebody's looking for a rental and they click on one of your ads, they're taken directly to your website. Now the website that's here is a website that we created for you, and we set up the whole system. We set up everything you need. You really don't need to do anything other than learn how to use the CRM system and then learn how to convert and actually work the leads. So everything else is done by us. So when a lead registers on your website, it doesn't go to anybody else. There's no random selection. It just goes directly to you. So I hope that answered your question, Amir. And while we're on that topic, we did create a very specific plan for the lease leads. So if you guys have an interest in lease leads, and I'll go talk about this at the end as well, but if you have an interest, we've created a program where it's $299 a month. That includes everything that you need: the website, the pay-per-click campaign, and you're going to get about 73 leads per month out of that plan. So essentially the breakdown on that is $159.95 goes to AgentLocator, and then the rest goes towards your Google pay-per-click campaign to generate leads. For those of you that don't know, we have no contracts whatsoever. So if you ever want to cancel your system, you can. It takes us about 3 business days to get things set up. And if you have any questions, like if you actually want to sign up, or even if you have more questions, you can get on leaseleads.agentlocator.ca. Let me actually see if I can. Crystal, are you able to send that link to the chat?
Which one? The
leaseleads.agentlocator.ca, just so that everybody has it. Yeah. And then you can click on get started. And whether you're an existing client or if you're not a client, you can go through that process and get registered, so we can help you out and get you set up on that if you have an interest in it. So we pretty much take care of everything. We set up the campaigns, we set up the ads, we set up the website. And currently we're also waiving the setup fee on this. So if you're interested in doing this, I don't have an end date. We're going to have an end date on that. It'll most likely have to be by the mid-month, but we'll waive the setup fee on that for those of you that want to get on to Lease Leads and get it set up. Samuel Habib asked how to advertise websites. So Samuel, that's covered by, we do all of that for you. You don't have to do any of that. Where did you, okay, so Matt, Amit asked another question asking, when did you start the lead system? So I believe you started about 3-4 months ago. I don't remember the exact.
Yeah, I think I started in March or April. I don't remember exactly. Yeah.
Mark, what a crazy time to start. What was going through your head at that time? I'm curious, because I remember, mid-March when that whole, when it hit and said, well, this is a true pandemic. It was crazy. And we had a lot of people who were looking to start even on buyer leads around that time. They're like, oh my God, the world is stopping and they got to cancel the buyer leads. And now we see July being 20 some odd % higher than the year before for real estate. So that's definitely great to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a crazy time for that. Okay, so there was a comment here as well. So Amit, we answered that question for you live. So he started about 3-4 months ago in March, April. Are we running a credit check for landlords for the landlord's purpose? So there's a question asked by, are we running a credit check for the landlord purpose? That's something that's afterwards. That's if you have a listing and you want to check the credit score of that individual. So I'm not sure that applies to this. Samuel, how much does it cost to set up the website? So Samuel, we're on the Lease Leads. If you guys are getting on Lease Leads, we're actually waiving the setup fee on this. We are not billing a setup fee at all. So for existing clients, how much would it cost? $299 for 73 leads. So existing clients that have a lead gen website, you don't need the lead gen website. If you're paying $158.95, you just have to have the Google ad spend. You just have to spend the money on Google. We can create the campaign for you. And for that, you can contact support at agentlocator.ca. This is an answer to the anonymous attendee. You don't have your name on there. Is there an option we can set up specific amount of rent? Let's say filter for those above 400,000, 4K or above. So this is a good question by Amir and Matt. The question he has is, do we have the ability to only work with people that are looking for $4,000 or more for a rental? And unfortunately, that isn't possible. The primary reason why that isn't possible is when you think about the regular consumer search. So if you think about how does somebody search for a rental, they're typically going on Google and searching for condo for rent in Toronto or house for rent in Toronto. And we really don't know what they're thinking as far as price is concerned. We could do things, and we already do have keywords like luxury rentals, for luxury rentals in Burlington or Toronto or whatnot. So those are typically in the higher end, but there's not enough of those leads. There's usually a much, much smaller number of those leads that come in. What has your average been currently, Matt, from the leads that you've been getting? Has it been about 2,500?
25 to 35.
25 to 35 is kind of the average that Matt has been getting. Awesome.
And it also depends on the regions. For Halton region, most of the house are about $2,500. So if you are looking like in Scarborough, I think it's maybe a little bit cheaper. So it depends on the region as well.
Right, of course, and that obviously depends on where you're looking to show the properties as well. I mean, if you're willing to drive out a little bit further, that might not be worth it because again, they're lease leads. Just out of curiosity, just so we can have a little bit of an understanding, like how many properties in general are you showing to these people? So before you close one of these people, how many average properties do you show them?
In average, I usually show 3 to 6.
3 to 6.
Yes, because some type of tenants, even they have very good job, they have very good credit score, but they're so picky. They may, they're not in a rush to find a place. They may. I have heard somebody they spend 6 months to look for rental properties, which is
wow.
too
That's
much
a lot of
for
driving.
us.
Yeah, that's
that's lots of driving. It's not worth it. I would rather pass that to somebody else. yeah, it kills my time. So
I like that.
So that's why when you first show them, when you meet with them, it's all about connections. It's like you interview with the tenants. If you have the gut feeling, that person they're gonna rent from you, then you work with them. If you have the gut feeling telling you those people are just playing games, then you're moving forward to the next one.
Yeah, because you're wasting way too much time. And like you said, you're better off, putting an extra $20, $30 a month onto Google so you can actually get an extra 15, 20 leads a month and then work with those that are more ready to buy or rent a property. Another question that actually comes to the question then, one of the questions that we certainly ask on the website is, when do you need to make a move by? How long and how long do you need to make that move by so that those leads that are, that need to make a move sooner, that we want to obviously work on those, even though the guy that's looking to rent a property that's $4,000 a month, is 6 months, he's going to be looking for 6 months and I'm gonna have to show him 15, 20 properties. It's still not worth it.
Yeah, and they may rent from their friends. You never know, right? So
yeah. So it makes sense to work only with those, work on those that actually makes sense for you to work on them. That's definitely a good point in that. David Lamb asked, is the clients mostly freehold or condos? So in the Halton area, I would imagine they're mostly freehold properties.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Awesome. We have another question from Amir. So higher amount we pay get more leads. What's the maximum amount we can spend for how many leads? So Amir, yes, the way that Google works is that you choose to spend $200 a month, then that's, if you divide about $1.97 by 200, that'll tell you how many leads you're going to get. The reason why the more you spend, the more you get is because the more you spend, the more your ads stay on Google. So when people are actually searching on Google, your ads are just present more during that time. The only problem that you're going to have is until this is systemized in the sense that we ask those questions for you, it's going to be really hard for you to work that many leads because, we can flood you with 1,000 leads tomorrow, but how long is it going to take you to go through those 1,000 leads? You're going to miss out good opportunities. So we do need to, as much as possible, to automate that process, and that is something that we're going to be working on that. And just so you guys know, when we automate that process, it's going to be automatically available for all those clients that are doing lease leads. So when you register and buy this service from us, it just keeps getting better because everything that we do is automatically upgraded. Crystal, could you do me a favor? There was a few people that raised their hands.
Yes.
I'm not sure if they wanted to talk, or maybe if you can just find out.
I don't see any raised hands currently. They must have lowered their hands.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going through the Q&A questions as well?
I'm actually checking them right now. If I missed any,
Okay.
please let me know. Yeah, there was how much it costs, and then does setup fee waiver include setup of website and CRM as well? So Abdul, if you're looking to jump on the lease leads, we are waiving the setup fee for the website. That's correct on that. Is Matt calling the landlord directly or client? So Matt, there was a question by Charles Smith, and the question is Matt calling the landlord directly for the client?
Calling
So
the
I'm not.
landlord.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You call the listing agents.
Right. Yeah. So I didn't really fully understand that question. So Charles, I mean, I'm not sure if you're in a different market or if it works differently in your area, but all the listings are on the MLS for the rentals. So you're calling the listing agent directly to actually set up a showing. Aldo asked, can you simulate a lead registration so I can see what difference in registration compared to a buyer lead? So Aldo, it is the same registration process. So it's no different than the buyer lead. So if you look at on the website here, let me go in and you guys can see my screen. So if you think about when a person lands, it's showing currently all the rentals only. So as I try to view those rentals, it asks me to register. So the registration process isn't different from the process of the buyer leads. It's really the same process, if that makes sense. I hope that answered your question, Aldo. Matt, what's your monthly cost per month on Google Ads? We have a question by Justin. Is that something that you're okay with sharing, Matt? I mean, it's completely up to you.
Yeah, I think it's right now I spend about $200 per month.
Okay, so that's you said 200?
Yeah, 200.
Yeah. So Matt's currently spending about $200 a month on Google. So he did this month in the month of July, right, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
In the month of July, you closed a total of 9 deals. So $200 a month generated a total of 9 deals. So average deal is, let me actually just pull up the calculator here so I can do a quick calculation for everybody. So if you got 9 deals at an average of $1,500 per deal, you got $13,500. And right, Matt, is that kind of a correct calculation?
Roughly, yeah. You have somebody are lower, somebody are higher. So that's
so let's
close.
So let's say even if it's let's say the average is about not 15. Let's say the average is maybe $1,200 per transaction. Multiplied by 9, we've got about $10,800. So if you look at the spend, 10,800, your return is a ton. I did the calculation on that part. So I hope that answers the question for Lorenzo there. Is another lead gen website required? Can the same home buyer, Andrew Irani, so the same website that we have for the lead gen can also be used for the rentals? Yes, you don't need to have another website on that part. Is there any guarantee to receive real leads? I mean, how about if I put wrong information in the form, wrong number, email, do I get credit for that? So Amir, there with internet leads, and we can have Matt kind of comment in terms of what his take on how many fake leads he gets. But when it comes to internet leads, Amir, there is no way that anybody can guarantee that for $1.97 somebody's going to enter their real information. So the best way to take internet leads is you are going to get some fake leads. You are going to get some leads that you can absolutely do nothing with. And that's just the cost of doing business. It's truthfully that there's no way that we have the ability to guarantee that every lead that you get is going to be a good lead. Would you be able to share a little bit about like how many fake leads do you get, Matt, from those leads that you get?
20%.
20%. So about 20% of the leads that you guys get are going to be fake. And there's truly, again, there's nothing that we can do about that. It's just the cost of doing business. And the best way that you can work a fake lead is just move on and forget about it. Because the more time you waste on that fake lead, the less time you have to work on the good ones that are in there. There was a question by Barbara Yee. Can you ask Matt, does he get leads that have no credit score but has financial and guarantor? Does he work with them or continue on to someone else who has good occupation? So the question
it's case by case because when it comes to rental deals, there's no standard because every landlord are different. It also depends on the market. The rental market are very competitive. For people like that, they may need to prepay 1 year rent in advance in order to secure a place. So it's a case by case. So I cannot give you like a yes or no. It depends on the situation.
Right. So in some cases, I would say Matt is certainly working with those people. And I think what Matt does, like he mentioned last time, was that he'll follow his gut. If his gut tells him that, hey, this is not somebody I want to work with because of what they're telling me, then I'm just going to work with them, right, Matt? Yeah, that's a good way to follow your gut, truly. There was another question. How do you deal with listings that are not on MLS but by property managers on other sites? So do you deal at all with listings that are not on MLS and
Nope.
are with,
nope.
No?
I just say you do yourself because most of the that's why I focus more on the freehold house, because most of the house they don't have leasing office. It's most of them are private owner. They put on the MLS. Compared to condos, they have apartment that's available at a lower price. Those people, they may go to the apartment eventually because it's offered a lower price than the condominium. So that can take into consideration.
Yeah, and are those usually listed on the MLS as well? Like if the ones that are by property managers, are they listing on MLS or they're not listing them at all on MLS?
For example, the Homestay, a very big apartment management company, they don't work with agents.
Right. So don't overcomplicate your deal, guys. I mean, for those people that want to look for rentals on that, like Matt said, you know what, go ahead and look on your own. I can't help you with that. And again, go back and concentrate on the ones that you can work on. And you know, like Matt's doing, closed 9 deals a month out of $200. How do you, okay, that was answered. Let me answer live. Do you build featured neighborhoods for lease or do we buy? I'm not sure. There was a question by Ijaz. Do you build featured neighborhood for lease or we do buy self? I'm not truly sure what that question is, Ijaz. I'm not sure.
I think he might be referring to like the branded website, how we create the community pages. If we do the same for like creating community pages, but for lease instead. If I had to take a wild guess at that.
Okay, so maybe Jazz, the question was if you want to do this yourself and if you want to create a campaign yourself, support can help you and show you how you can create a community page for rentals, and that way you can get that set up by yourself. Kamaldeep asked, total cost. Let's say if I decide to spend $200 on Google Ads, how much will AgentLocator charge up of the $200? So, Kamaldeep, our cost for our system is $1.5. So it would cost you $300. We add $158.95 on top of whatever you want to spend on Google. With that $158.95, we'll $150 a month on Google. So if you want to spend up to $250, you can with that $158.95. So I hope that answers your question. Crystal, I'm not sure if I missed any questions for anybody there. So if I did miss,
yeah.
So 359 really is. Yep.
So Bobby's question is more or less the same. If she has any additional charges other than spend for the lease leads, they already have a lead gen site for buyers already. So it depends on if you're already running a campaign.
Reiterate.
Yeah. Go ahead.
To reiterate for everybody, if you currently are our client and if you have a lead gen website, if you're paying $158.95 a month, we will manage up to $250 a month for you on Google. So now, if you're spending already $250 a month on your buyer leads on Google, then that means there's nothing left for the rental leads. So you would have to pay an extra management fee to up that. But if you don't have a campaign currently, then if you're paying $158.95, we will manage up to $250 a month for you on Google. When I receive the leads, do they already know my information? Are they expecting a call from me? So Amir, to answer your question, and let me go back to the actual website just to give you a quick answer on the question. So let's actually think of who this person is so I can help answer that, because people aren't truly expecting you to call them 100% of the time. And Matt can give us a little bit of an insight into that, like how responsive are these people compared to buyer leads? Because I believe that the rental leads are much more responsive than the buyer leads. But let me help you understand again what these people are expecting. So let's say you are currently looking for a rental. Let's say you're looking for a rental in Toronto, and you go to Google and search for condo for rent in Toronto as an example. And then you land on this website. This website shows all of the condos that are currently for rent in Toronto. And then as you're browsing through those condos, the website forces you to register, makes you register. So I'm now registered on this website as a lead, and you're getting my information. You, the agent, are getting my information when I register. So that means they're not truly expecting that I'm gonna call them, because the form is just being entered in order for them to continue browsing through those listings. So I hope that answers your question. Now, I'm curious in terms of responsiveness, Matt. So how responsive are these leads? When you call them, are they pushing back, or are they glad to talk to you?
Depends. Some people, they may just hang up on you. Some, they may tell you they already had agents. Some may tell you, I'm not interested. It depends.
Yeah, so it's a mixed bag. I mean, just like buyer leads, I'm not sure, for those of you that when you look at buyer leads in general sense, buyer leads can be a little bit harsh on the phone. They can be very rude. Hey, why are you calling me? You're not, why are you even on the phone with me? Where rental leads, I mean, they're, from what I've seen and from what discussions that I've had with some of the clients that are doing them, they're a little bit more receptive in the sense that once you actually, more of them will want to talk to you than not. Obviously, we're going to have people that currently have other agents that may not want to talk to you, but I don't think it's as many as on the buyer side. So I hope that answers the question. Amit asked, are you pulling those condo listings from MLS? So Amit, absolutely. Our system works directly with the real estate board. So all the current properties that are for rent are actually properties that are on the MLS, that are for rent. So currently, when I do a search for Toronto condo apartments for rent, there is about 9,430 of them available for rent. And then what's nice with the websites here is that they have the ability to narrow down. So let's say if I'm only looking for properties that are $2,000 to, let's say, $3,000 a month, I can quickly narrow that down and find only those that are currently available at that price range. There's a few more questions that came in here. I may have the answers to my questions about, okay. How is my Google payment divided? I have a lead gen site right now, and if I enroll in the lease leads as well, does it take away from my current buyer seller Google bucket, or is it separate bucket strictly for lease leads? So Justin, the buckets are together, but you have the ability to spend up to a maximum of $250 if you're paying $158.95. When you go over $250, if you jump on our website for a quick second, I can explain that. And we could also have a sales rep, guys. If you fill out this form, lease leads, we can have a sales rep reach out to you and kind of explain this a little bit better. But if you want to stick around, I can explain it. If you go to lead generation here on top and click on how to relax and work your leads, if you look at this, the $158.95 includes us spending up to $250 a month on Google for you. When you go above 250 up to 500, you have to pay another $100 a month for us to manage that campaign. So that's, if you're currently spending $250 a month on your buyer leads, and you want to spend another, let's say $100 a month on Google for lease leads, that does put you into this bucket of having to spend another $100 for us to manage a campaign for you. So I hope that part has answered your question.
We do have a question that was missed. We have Abdul asking if we can use an existing website that was with another service provider that also offers lead generation.
It depends on whether honestly, it becomes really hard for us to work with another platform, primarily because we don't have the access to it that we need in order to make it work the way we need it to make it work. So unless you're a client on our platform, we honestly don't have the ability to help you out with setting up a rental campaign. I truly apologize about that. For those of you that are not on our platform, for those that want to get specifically on lease leads, we are waiving the setup fee. So if you ever wanted to jump on that, this is an opportunity. What does managing campaign means? So Samuel, managing a campaign is us actually setting up the Google campaign for you. So imagine, you don't want to, all the technical stuff that needs to get done is done by us, meaning that you have nothing to do other than work the leads that you get. And Crystal is our training manager. We have a training department that actually helps you learn how to work these leads, and not just learn how to work them, but also how to work the system. So you would jump on a one-on-one training with somebody in our training department so that we teach you how to do this as well. So think of it, getting this set up requires nothing on your part other than knowledge on how to work the leads and what to do when the leads come in. And that's something that we will teach you as well. So I hope that part answers your question. For those of you that missed the URL, to get more information, it's all panelists and attendees, it's leaseleads.agentlocator.ca. And if you fill out that form, we will get in touch with you to help you out further. I believe we've had all the questions answered. Crystal, if I missed anything from anybody, if I missed anything, please ask the question again. I truly want to thank Matt. Matt, you've been so helpful with this. I really appreciate your time and you coming here on to talk with us about it and helping agents understand and your struggles in the beginning as well. Because anytime you start something new, I'm so glad that you took that time to learn the progress and scale your operation to start getting more and more leads. Now, did you spend more or less money, or did you spend the same amount of money when you started? Because I know you started with converting 3 leads and 6 leads and 8 leads and nine deals. Did you spend more or did you spend the same amount during that period?
So in the beginning, I spent the $250, and now I reduced to $200 because I realized I get too many leads. I cannot call single one of them. I would rather focus on more on calling them and get more effective than getting a bunch of leads that you're never gonna call them.
Yeah, and
if you look into my database, I have about 1,000 leads right now. 50% haven't even had a chance to call them. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. If I call every single one of them, I think I can close even more.
Yeah. Do you use the SMS system at all, Matt? Because that's something that Crystal, can we get Matt some help on? Because what we can do, Matt, is we can do a mass SMS. I don't know if you tried that before.
What is that?
Mass SMS message. So what we can do, let me actually, would I be able to, let me see, does your CRM have that ability to hide the information? Because I don't want to show everybody the information. Crystal, do you know if the CRM has that hide button?
Yeah, you just have to go into what part of it is the administration, and then access his user account from there, and then you'll see the CRM setting to blur the data.
Would you be able to do that for me real quick? That way I can just log into Matt's account. Thank you so much. So Matt, what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you, and what we'll do is we'll log into your account, but we're going to hide the information so people can't see the contact information of your leads. And I'll show you really quick how you can actually filter your leads inside the CRM to find all those people you never called, and then how we could do a mass SMS to all those people. So imagine sending out a mass SMS message to all those people that you never called to ask them a pre-qualifying question that they can respond to and then maybe you can sift through some of those leads that are more ready to buy or more ready to rent.
Yep, sounds good.
And what we can also, and what we'll also do is we'll get Crystal to connect with you so that to make sure that you know how to do that on a continuous basis. Because every now and then, what you can do is all those leads that may possibly become inactive, we can shoot them a mass SMS to try to reactivate them again.
He's already got the blur enabled in his system.
Okay, perfect. So give me a quick second. I'm just gonna log in here, and let me go here. 1 sec. I'll log into your account. Here we go. And blur all fields. Okay. So if we open up, this is Matt's account, guys. This is all the rental leads. You've got about 970 rental leads inside the system right now. And let's see here. So Matt, what we can do is we can do a filter. Let's say I want to pull up all the leads that are inside the system that you never actually call at all, right? You can do a filter that says select number of calls is equal to 0. If I hit apply, it gives me 792 leads have we've actually never called. Now we see this lead we haven't made contact with, but that's them responding to your SMS message, right? So let's say if I don't want to include those that I've actually made contact with. So I'm going to say add filter item, and I'm going to say pipeline is not. Actually, let's do pipeline is not set or new lead or tried to contact. So that means give me all the leads that I have never called. There's been 0 calls to, and that are currently in the not set, new lead, or tried to contact pipeline. So that means all of these leads we never actually made contact with. Does that make sense? Yeah, so now if you ever wanted to do a mass SMS to all these leads at the very same time, I do suggest that you don't mass SMS all of them at the same time, because if you mass SMS 439 people, you're gonna be sitting here for about 3 hours responding to SMS messages that people send back. So what you could do is you could list up to 50 people, and then you click here. That selects 50 out of the 439. And then you can go to apply actions, send mass SMS, and then you can put your message like this. I'm not going to send anything out, Matt. Don't worry. I just want to kind of give an example. Hey there, first name. You were looking for a rental on my website not too long ago. You know, just out of curiosity, when are you looking to make a move by? Right. So if people respond to you saying, well, I'm not looking to move for a while, or whatever it may be, and you may want to work only those that actually say they want to make a move sooner, you could do that within a click of a button. Does that? Yeah. Yep. Crystal can help you with this, Matt. Crystal, if you could set a session then with Matt just to kind of show him how we could do that. I'd love to, maybe if we do another webinar a few months later where we can discuss about how that went for you with the mass SMS.
You do get responses. So essentially, and so Patricia's also asking, I want to do the same. I love the mass SMS, but it tells me I can only do 200 SMS at a time. You can do more, Patricia. It's just kind of like a warning for yourself that it just kind of like anything under 200 kind of flies below the radar. Once you start mass texting, and if you're doing it all the time and sending it to like 2,500 people all the time, the number may get flagged, and you don't want that happening.
Right. So, yeah. So Patricia, to get around this screen, send mass SMS, and it says sending more than 200. All you have to do is say, I understand, let me proceed. And all we're trying to learn with you with that is sometimes people select their entire database. Like they go in and they have 6,000 leads inside their system, and not knowingly they send a message out to 6,000 people, which is a lot of messages. So that part just kind of warn you about, make sure you know. And then to answer the question for the Amit, you asked if you put first name, yes, it does change it, but it's first name, like Crystal mentioned here, it's first name together. So it's first name, it will automatically replace. So it'll send a message, hi there, Ed, hi there, John, hi there, Crystal, hi there, Matt, so on and so forth. It'll automatically send each of them separately a message. Now, Matt, I'm not sure if you know, how do you currently respond to your SMS messages, Matt? Are you using a cell phone to respond to them?
Oh yeah, I use my cell phone to call them, and also use cell phone to respond to them.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you knew, if you see my shared screen here, if you look at this SMS tab here, it shows a number of messages. You can actually use the system as well. It shows all of the SMS messages that you've received and that you haven't responded to yet. So if you received a message from somebody and you actually haven't responded to them yet, it will show up in that list for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to open that list because it's going to show people's names in the SMS messages. So that's just something that you could, did you by any chance have a training session? And maybe it would be a good idea to have a training session again, even if you had one before, just kind of get a little bit of a good understanding of the system.
Yeah, I just recently created my filter. I found it's very useful, and now I just use my first filter and the second filter to catching up.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, the CRM system is so powerful when it comes to lead conversion. There's so many different filters, guys, that you can do. That it's unbelievable. I mean, one of the things, Matt, I'm not sure if you've done this before, but let's say, you know, if I'm looking at all of your leads, 970 of them, and if I want to sort by activity, let's say I want to sort by leads that have actually been most recently active first, meaning that I want to see people who are on the website right now. Right now, this person is on the website. They've looked at 15 properties so far. Here's one active 10 minutes ago, looked at 5. Here's one that's looked at 127 properties. You've made contact with that one, but that's just another way that you could use the system to your advantage as best possible to kind of narrow down the people you're looking for. So amazing, Matt. Again, I can't be more than thankful to you. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you coming by and sharing your knowledge with us and insights. And I'm looking forward to working directly with you and making your life easier as much as possible, so that you can systemize your process more and more, so that you could really start making this into getting for 40, 50 deals a month on the rental side by automating things as
Wow,
much
that
as
would
we
be
can.
amazing.
I guarantee you that it is something that it is certainly possible. Once you systemize things, it makes things a lot easier, because then you're working. Imagine, I mean, if you're spending $200 a month right now to get 9 transactions, you could easily spend $400 a month to get 18. You can spend, you know, $600 a month to get 30. And the only problem that you have right now is the fact that you don't have the time to qualify these people. It becomes impossible for you to qualify them. So now, if we're asking all those pre-qualifying questions for you on the website, then we're disqualifying those that we don't even want to talk to. We're automatically disqualifying them and only concentrating on those that you should be talking to. So that's certainly something that we can try to help with. And anybody who learns this stuff, honestly, guys, when it comes to online right now, for any of you that haven't learned how to do this, I mean, you've got Matt, who just started 3 months ago, and you know he just made $10,000 in last month in July from Lease leads. If you've got the time, and if you're currently not that busy, then you can certainly learn something new. It's not impossible, and it doesn't cost you thousands of dollars to do this. It costs you only $300 a month to try it out. And try to figure it out. So really looking forward to helping anybody who wants to get help to get this going and get it started. I'll finish it off by just having the website again, lease.agentlocator.ca. There's one more question, Matt, that just Amit asked just now. Do you ask for a photo ID before meeting them for safety reasons?
Not really. But yeah,
I think using your gut feeling. I mean, like Matt said, I think using your gut feeling.
But I definitely gonna call them if I meet with them. when you talk with them, if you feel they're drunk, then obviously you know they're not serious. But yeah, you can feel, but that's why you need to call them, not
Speaking
just by
to them.
texting. You need to speak with them first. Yeah, you can feel if they're a normal person or not.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, and you know what, Amit, if you feel that you want to ask somebody that they give you their license before you meet with them, that's something that's up to you. Honestly, what you can do is you can see if you ask people, are they being hesitant? Are you not meeting enough of them? And if that's the case, to try to figure out a different way to do it. If you feel unsafe in any way, shape, or form. So that's certainly something you could do if you wish to do it. Let's also remember that if you ask somebody for a photo ID, what's to say that they don't send you a fake photo ID, right? They find a license online and send you that as a license. So it's not a guaranteed foolproof way of actually making sure that you're somebody normal. I think a conversation would actually do a little bit more for you rather than a photo ID, but really talking to them and getting a feel for them. There was a question for a domain name. You will need a domain name to do this. Our guys can help you get that set up. There's a question by an anonymous attendee. You're asking specific questions about clarifying, what Google Ad spend. If you can message the panelist your name, because we don't see what your name is, we won't be able to contact you. If you can message your name, we can get somebody to get in touch with you to explain this a little bit further. Or if you go to leaseleads.agentlocator.ca and submit your name, we'll be sure to get back to you and explain anything that doesn't make sense for you so far. I like to learn. Do you rent? So Matt, I honestly, I think we've answered all the questions. Once again, thank you so much for everything. I'm really looking forward to having a chat with you so we can kind of make the system a little bit better, a little bit easier for you to work, and for everybody else that's doing lease leads. And again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to working with you to implement that criteria, like pre-qualified question into the CRM. That would be very useful, I think.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to that as well, because we want to also give you the ability, once they answer those questions, I want to create the ability for you to filter based on those. So you can say, give me only those leads that answered this question by saying this, right? So that just makes the process of qualification so much better and so much easier. So we'll do everything
100%.
we can to get to that point. Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you all so much for your time. Matt, thanks for your time again. We're going to end the meeting here. It is being recorded. We are going to send everybody the recording as well, so you guys can look at it again if you have any questions. And if anybody else has any other questions, please fill out that form on leaseleads.agentlocator.ca, and we will be sure to get to you as best we can. Thank you all again, and have yourselves a safe and wonderful day.